Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thursday, June 30th Watershed Customer Service and Billing Advisory Board Committee meeting. I'm David Clark, the chair of the board. With us today, we have Rodney Nash from District 1, Ron Nowacki from District 2, and Victor Speakman from District 3. I represent District 6. We do not have a full quorum, but we don't have any action items on today's agenda. So we will move forward with the meeting and receive the reports, and any action items that may come up, we will defer to our July meeting. So with that, I will turn that over to staff to begin the administration monthly report.
Okay, I'm sorry. Good afternoon. This is Monique for Yarborough. Do you all have the report, or do you need me to share it on the screen?
If you could share it on the screen, I have it in front of me, but just in case anybody doesn't have it, it would be nice to see it on the screen.
We need to share it for the public.
Okay. Is everyone able to see the screen right now?
We do.
Okay, great. Good afternoon. I will be sharing the administrative report. And as we have presented here, this report is for the time period, the 12-month period of May 2021 through May of 2022. And as we report here for May of 2022, we generated 131,000 bills. Our high-low exception was for 7,927, which was 6% of the bills that we generated. We estimated only 659 of those bills, and the average residential bill for the month of May was $114.91. The bullets we have displayed here represents 117,000 is the average rolling number of bills that were generated for the 12-month period. 99% of those rolling average of bills generated was receiving the actual reading. 69% of the current month for May of 2022, high-low exceptions were for customers with a higher consumption than their usual bill. On page 2, we have displayed here the percentage of high-low exceptions of the number of bills that were generated. And we go from the graph to our disputes. Year to date, we have an average of 132 disputes that we received. The disputed bills account for less than 1% of the 12-month rolling average of 117,000 bills that we generated per month. And 56 open disputes at the close of May was moved over to June of 2022 to work. 98% of the top call reasons for customer wanting to dispute their bill was due to a higher than usual bill. On page 3, we do show the statistics of monthly from May of 2021 through May of 2022, the number of disputes we received. And for May of 2022, there was 179 disputes that we received. And the top 2 dispute call reasons for May of 22, number 1 was high bill, and number 2 was for meters being checked. And in the graph below, we are displaying the number of disputes received per month from May of 2021 through May of 22, showing that we are below the average of the disputes we received on last year of this time, which was 207. As of today, we have not received any disputes from customers via this board to work since August of 2021. And that's the last page of our report. Are there any questions?
I'll certainly open up to any of the other board members. All right, hearing none. I do have a question for staff, I'm not quite sure who on the right person to direct this to, but I've recently gotten some email communication just voicing some concern about the process that DeKalb County may be following when it comes to a property that is being sold, but it still has a outstanding balance that's in dispute. Is there somebody on staff who can maybe just remind us what the process the county is following in those cases right now?
Sure, David, I'll be happy to take that question. When a property is being closed upon, what happens is the closing attorney files an open records request with us, asking for copies of the bills relating to a particular address. We respond to that open records request with the outstanding bill for that particular property as requested. Now, if somebody thinks that there is an error in that bill, then they can call us and dispute the account. And we do receive folks that call us once the attorney has received the bill, they call us and ask us about how the bill, about questions about the accumulation of the bill and things like that. And we respond. So if somebody has attempted to close on a property, they need to work with their closing attorney and make sure that they receive the copies of the bill that the closing attorney is going to take out of escrow, because it is a lien on the property under state law. And that's why the closing attorney contacts us and asks us through an open records request for that balance. And that's why it gets paid out of the escrow. Now, if they think there's an error in that bill, we're more than happy to research it and get back with them as we do with any account question. So hopefully that helps.
But I guess, but it has to be paid before the closing can occur, correct?
No, well, that's what the closing attorney requires.
Okay.
That's not what we require.
Okay, so it is. So it's. I got you.
Because it's technically a lien on the property, and so that's why the closing attorney wants to. They will make sure it's paid out of escrow, and that all liens are satisfied before the closing occurs.
Okay. All right. I don't know if anyone else on the board has had similar questions get raised recently, but I have gotten a couple of questions. I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with that. All right, if there's no other questions from the monthly report, John, I believe you have an update on the Encuesta program.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It'll be brief. I know I have, I believe our last couple meetings, unfortunately, had to be canceled and this one was moved. I have provided most of this information already, but I'm happy to rebrief it here. So we are in the process right now of integration testing of all the different things. And you could see there from that slide, all the ones about the top half are complete and are now ready for end-to-end testing. And you can see from the GIS interface down all of those that are either in progress or still pending tests. So as it relates to that, we are currently on track. What I will point out, especially because some of you, again, and those who may be watching may not be familiar, we have been providing information through other channels as we talk about different things that are going on. You will notice here that we have the go live now is pushed back to end of June of 2023. Reason being with the rate increase that was approved, submitted by the administration and approved by the Board of Commissioners. It was the same staff working on both the rate increase as well as the new system implementation. The good news is everything that I'm sorry.
Could you just kind of remind people what the rate increase was? I know that's not necessarily your responsibility, but I think that might be good just to have people understand.
Sure, and actually I'm going to defer to CFO McNabb. She's probably better suited. I think I know the numbers, but I'd rather her just go ahead and identify.
Sure, John, thank you. The rate increase, what it approved was 6%. It will go into effect August 1st. And it's the first rate increase we've had since January 1st of 2014.
And is that a one-time rate increase?
We expect there to be future rate increases as it relates specifically to our consent decree and our capital projects that have to be implemented over the next 5 to 7 years. So we can constantly update those numbers in our long-term financial planning. And we do expect there to be future rate increases, but of course, as we get closer and closer to the next year, we make sure we've updated all our numbers so that in order for us to minimize whatever that rate increase might be.
And I guess my question was, the board just approved a one-time increase of 6%. And like you said, future increases will be considered on a case-by-case basis. They didn't do like a 6% for the next 3 years. It was just 1 year.
No, they didn't do that. Now, that doesn't mean that when we get ready, because we're going through a cost of service study right now and a rate study right now. And so what we're hoping is that when we get to that end of that study, that we will be in a position to adopt we'll recommend multi-year rate increases to the board. Now, whether they choose to do that or not, of course, is totally up to them. But we will be presenting a multi-year financial plan.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry to send us on a tangent, John.
Oh, not at all. I mean,
not at all.
it did, right. It impacted, unfortunately, our timeline. And so it's a very relevant question. And we appreciate you asking so that we could share that information again with everybody that may be observing. So we did shift everything out in order to meet. Now, you will, a new go live date based on that. You will see here the schedule is being tweaked. There may be another month or so that we have to build in. We're still, although we have everything associated with the current rate increase in place for CPAC, as we are also looking at making sure that Encuesta and CPAC are in line with each other. That's why we have to just ensure that, as you know, once that rate increase is done, we're going to have an extra testing with the Encuesta to make sure that the numbers are all matching and those kinds of things. So at the next time that we meet, we will have an updated and hopefully final timeline. But again, I don't anticipate this. It's not like we're anticipating extending this, another 6 months or anything. I think we're just looking at another 1 to 2 month tweak at the most. I know one of the questions that had come up in previous, when might you all be able to see the system? And we had talked about that would probably be around the simulation testing timeframe. So that has moved now to the February to April timeframe. So we will see if we can build that in so that you all can have a chance to just take a look at what's coming. But I wanted to make that clear because I think we had been looking at doing that obviously a few months earlier if we had stayed on track for the implementation, the original implementation. So with that, that is the information that I currently have to share. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I don't have any additional questions. Does anybody on the committee have a question for John on the system?
I don't have a question, but I want to pass on some personal experience I had recently. So if you're ready to move to the next topic.
Sure. Let me just double check, make sure nobody else has a question, and then I'll let you have the floor, Ron. All right, not seeing anybody. Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, I live in Diamond Head subdivision. Houses were built in the 60s. And I probably had my water meter replaced 20 years ago. Anyhow, near the end of May, I step outside and I see someone digging in my front yard. And he was, I guess, the contractor for DeKalb County. And I asked what he was doing, and he was clearing the mud off the water meter. And he said he was verifying the make and model, I guess, of what water meter I had, and I knew it was an old one. So he said they were doing that throughout the neighborhood, and I asked them, so when would the water meter be replaced? And he said, probably in about a month, but you'll get, sufficient notice, that sort of thing. We're doing them on a kind of neighborhood basis. Well, 2 days later, I find another DeKalb contractor digging in my front yard. And he's replacing the meter with no advance notice, nothing on my door saying that was going to happen. And it was done 2 days after the person, I guess, verified that it needed to be replaced. So I was just kind of surprised, and a few other neighbors in my subdivision asked what was going on. And I tried to explain to him, but there was no information conveyed to the homeowners. And then he showed me what they put on the door handle, but he wasn't putting them out on houses. So he said, there you go, you have the new water meter. But they said, or he said, the only thing that wasn't done was, I guess, to put in the transmitter to do this automatic transmitting of water usage. And I asked about that, and he says, that's not my job. I'm not doing it. All I know is we don't have it available. So can someone explain to me when that would be done? What sort of delay is being experienced, and is that done on a house by house or neighborhood by neighborhood basis, or what?
Ron, I'm going to let Lynn respond to the AMI connection, but I can tell you that our contractors have been instructed numerous times to provide those notifications to our residents that their meters are being replaced. And we have had a couple of issues with our residents not being notified. But I think Lynn can talk about the conversations that she's had with the contractors and what they're supposed to be doing. Lynn?
Sure. So, good afternoon, everyone. So I can say that I guess they were efficient if they got out there in 2 days, but the process is what that process is supposed to look like is they come out and they do what's known as a survey. So the contractor first comes out and surveys the location to determine what, if anything, is necessary. Sometimes the meter doesn't have to be changed, and it may just need an MXU, the transponder put on it. So they are definitely not supposed to just show you the tag. It's supposed to be put on your door. So you don't get an actual appointment, but the notification when they do the survey just puts you on notice that they'll be coming very soon to change it out. And then they are supposed to let you know when they're there. So we'll reiterate that again to make sure that, they understand the importance of that communication.
Do you know which contractor it was, Ron?
I can find out. I'll get your address and find out.
Yeah, the service, the person was very, he answered all my questions, very pleasant. And I think the truck was from Texas.
Okay. Yeah,
so-
we'll find out. Because again, just like the county itself, everybody is even dealing with new people, training new people. So I don't know, it could have been someone that's new, and we just constantly have to reiterate.
I think that
process is.
The company began with a C, I believe, and they had white pickup trucks. So what is the status of the transmitter? Oh, another thing too. Evidently, when they did the survey, my subdivision is about 100 houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw probably about 30 houses where the cover of the water meter, I guess when they were doing the survey, was not put back on correctly. It was either laying on the ground or just dropped into the housing for the meter or what. So there was very little attempt to replace it. So it wasn't a hazard to a little child or a pet or whatever.
Right. Well, we definitely gonna need to look to find out who that contractor was, because we need to do a little bit more investigation on that. But in terms of your question about the MXUs, we don't know specifically when that issue will be resolved. We are getting more in. It's a supply chain issue is really the bottom line. And it's because we're not able to get the sufficient quantities at this time from the manufacturer in order to meet the current demand. So what we've done is developed a workaround so that we're tracking the ones where we're able to change the meter out and not the MXU. Then we're going to have to come back to those, because the alternative would be not to do anything. But since we have the meters, of course, we go ahead and put the meters in the ground, and then we'll have to come back to add those
Okay.
the transponders, because that does not affect the functionality. The meter is what determines, what registers and keeps track of your usage. And so that's really the most important thing. The
Yeah, but-
MHU is a good thing for, well, that's what's required for us to ultimately go to monthly billing and be 100% AMI. So we are hoping that we should maybe in the fall see an increase in the supply of them, and maybe we can get back to.
Yeah, so again, to put those transmitters on, is that going to be on a case-by-case basis or neighborhood basis? Because this issue, I have people in my neighborhood asking about, they think their water bill is high. I don't know how many have filed a dispute. So, if there's any way that, and I like to be able to see it and see how it works myself. So if one can be added to my water meter so I can help explain it and to show people that, you can see the actual, daily use of water use, I think that would be great.
So you're not going to be able to see it. The transponder is what is used to electronically deliver the information to our office. So even if we had one on there, it's not like something that you're going to be able to show someone where they're
Go online. You're not gonna be able to go
Right.
online. We
Right.
will be able to once we get into Enquesta and build out that.
Right, we can send a report. Now, we can put one on your home, and then we can generate a report, but there's not any way for us to do that. What it sounds like you're basically asking right now, but we certainly can do that.
So even the houses that have the transponder,
They don't have the ability to go
saying they
on.
cannot monitor their consumption on a daily basis through the county, that functionality does not exist yet?
We can, if they will call and request a report, we can provide a report. We just
They
can't,
can't see it.
they just can't access it online yet.
Okay, but the goal is to be able to access it online.
Absolutely,
And
Correct.
that's what Aquesta is going to accomplish, correct, Diane?
correct.
And it will also allow things, not only to monitor, but to be able to, set ranges. So if the watering goes, above a certain amount, you'll be able to, it has a lot of bells and whistles, but you'll be able to set some things up to
We
let you
set up
know.
alarms.
Yeah,
No
hey,
alarm.
I'm reaching a certain amount of usage. So yeah, but that's what we're moving to. That's not where we are now. So even if you had that, right now, the only thing would be that the readings would be able to be reported electronically.
Okay, well, my next bill will be with the new meter. I'm curious to see any change in average consumption and hopefully no dispute in the future.
Well, we would expect with that.
Yeah,
as
just to
open-
be clear now, you said you had an old one.
Right.
To be frank with you, I wouldn't be surprised if your bill, it may be the same. It could go up. The newer the meter is, the more efficient it is. Typically, meters function in such that over time they begin to slow down.
Uh-huh.
So it may be the same. It may be a little hot. We don't know, but we know it's a new meter and it's good.
Uh-huh.
We
But
know that much.
we would be more apt to expect it to go up, like Lynn said, because as the meter ages, it reads less and less of the water.
And then sometimes ultimately they wind up stopping, stop recording anything. So
Well, I wouldn't complain about that, so.
Yeah,
yeah,
most
most
people
people don't. Most of them don't. So we got you.
But they sure do when it starts recording again.
All right, well, thank you for the information.
You're welcome. And we'll reach out to get information about your neighborhood, because I do want to find out that particular vendor, just so that we can work with them to make sure that they're adhering to the protocol, the established
Yeah,
protocols.
and the personnel were pleasant and he answered, all my questions. It was just that there wasn't, it was kind of surprised when they came out the first time, and then also surprised that it was so soon, because he said it would be about a month
Right,
later.
right.
come back out.
And
Okay.
some of your neighbors may already have AMI on their meters.
Yeah, and it was mixed, because I asked him, I said, are they all like this? And he said, it's all mixed, that there's some newer ones and, replaced a year ago, 2 years ago, he said it varied all over.
Right, so see, some of the neighbors that it may have been, if they had a dispute or for any reason, they got one replaced a year ago, they wouldn't have been getting a new meter at the same time you would have, they would have just been getting an MXU. Well, because now we're not having the MXUs readily available. Yeah, so it is a mixed bag, and so, but we'll look into that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ron. Because I do know they have, the county has spent a lot of time of trying to get those notices out before the meters were replaced. And so it's a little disappointing to hear that this contractor failed to do that with you. Does anybody else have any questions from the board on this topic or any additional topic? All right, not hearing anybody. John Manson, we don't have any public comment, is that correct?
No, sir.
And Mr. Chair, just to confirm, there's also nobody from the public that has joined the Zoom as well.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I guess without any other business, we're set to close out this meeting. And I have our next meeting will be on the 28th of July. Is that correct? Correct, John?
Yes, sir.
All right, July 28th at 12 o'clock. Appreciate everybody's attention this afternoon.
Thank you. Y'all have a great 4th of July weekend.
Thank you, Lynn.